someone moderately wise who fits this criteria, living in Fortnite for a long time and also being addicted to Twitter, could come to the conclusion that there's a cycle that repeats season after season in the game. So this person brought to life this image, this legendary image, which we don't know who made it, but it's been shared constantly since chapter 5 started. You might have seen it in different posts and many of us agree that it's accurate, but now we will analyze the cycle and see if what it says is true, how it make it legit, and what I would add to the cycle based on my experience in Fortnite since the Battle Royale launched. If you want to support this content, what better way than with the mighty code Puchis in the Fortnite item shop or Epic Games Store. Thank you very much. So this image, as you can see, was made in chapter 5 because it has the cover of the underground season, which I think started in December 2023. Enough time has passed to see how accurate the cycle is. Let's read it together. 1. New season begins. 2. Everyone enjoys it. 3. A few weeks pass. 4. Everyone starts to get bored. 5. Everyone starts complaining about everything. 6. Hype for the new season. And this is basically the Fortnite cycle. Clearly, this is not about its history, because in the lore we have the loop, but that's another topic. We're talking about the game community, and broadly speaking, I can say that yes, it is more or less like that. The person who made this image hit all the points, although, of course, with a limited number of cycles, you can't elaborate with more details, and that's what I add now, along with explanations. The best way to explain this phenomenon is with the previous season, Myths and Mortals, because right now in this wrecked season we haven't reached the final stage yet, which is the hype for the new season. So let's look in perspective at how Myths and Mortals unfolded. A little before Myths and Mortals, we were in Underground, a pretty long season, and it felt even longer considering Christmas, when Epic takes a break and makes the game look a bit dead during those weeks. So with the boredom of seeing the same locations, the same unchanging map, and a rather normal gameplay with nothing out of the ordinary, common weapons and more ordinary loot pool, we were waiting to see what will happen next season. Clues started indicating a mythology themed season, first with some missions to collect mosaic pieces, and then with the big news of the Titanic Hand, that mini event. We hadn't had a mini event in the game for a long time, and the Big Bang one didn't satisfy us as it was largely a commercial, basically. So we really enjoyed the mini event, saw the teasers, images, and everyone was excited for the next season, as the community believed this mythology team had a great potential, especially since the current creative director Charlie Wen, who worked on Kratos, so he must know something about this team. The hype was huge, and the day came when Myths and Mortals season began. Here starts the phase, new season begins. Let's describe everything in detail, stage by stage. New season begins. Well, in this phase, the first day of the season is like opening a Christmas present. Most new season details don't really leak. At most, location names, a skin or two, but not every little detail. This makes people excited to try everything in game, without needing to see it all in Twitter posts. The first day keeps content creators very busy. They have to see what can they use to generate content. Some buy the battle pass with all its levels to get ahead and attract views. Others play with their followers, and some record their faces with their reactions to all the new stuff. There are many ways a content creator handles the first days, since it's the most hectic and valuable one. Sometimes the first to cover something, those the best. For general Fortnite players, they usually invite their closest friends to play the new season. They obviously land at the new locations to experience them and swap old weapons for the new ones. If they find weapons from the previous season, they leave them to try the new season's weapons. Most, even before entering their first match, check out the entire battle pass, review the missions, etc. to be prepared and focus on those missions and be the first to level up. Competitive players on the first day will prefer to go into creative mode to any creative map with the new weapons to figure out how they work and in what scenarios they can be used. If a weapon does 1 point more damage than they think it should, they quickly go to the Fortnite status account to post, nerf this, nerf that, we won't play if this stays in the game, etc. This point is very important because competitive players influence the weapon and gameplay ecosystem. For example, this Ranked season suffered many changes from the first day, mostly nerfs. The competitive community has two powers in their hands: to balance the gameplay or ruin it completely. Most of the time, the second thing happens. On the other hand, the 3D artist community starts extracting models of the new skins. Then, the 2D artist community picks their character to obsess over and create art of that character all season in different poses, in different scenarios. Setting aside the artist, we have the giveawayers, those desperate for followers and approval who will do the typical Battle Pass giveaway. I'm not saying all of them are fake, but most are, and just seek a few likes and follows with fake giveaways. And among the community, there will be beggars who comment on every post they can you give me the pass, the Battle Pass? There will be a small percentage of the community trying to reach level 100 in the season on the first day without buying levels. Let's take a moment of silence for their eyes and overall health, because to achieve that goal you have to risk your physical and mental integrity a bit. Lastly, there is the lore sector, one I belong to, and we prioritize the narrative over gameplay. We investigate every little detail with great attention and decipher the new lore the season brings us. Already from the first day of the season, viral clips start emerging, mostly from Reddit. Clips of impressive plays with the new loot, clips of game-breaking glitches, clips of someone complaining about how powerful an item is, clips of everything. Really, these clips are shared on Twitter, and for some reason someone always posts, "What even is Fortnite?" since it has changed completely from one season to another. In the first days of the season, there are usually many players. Let's say the game has a significant spike, a constant peak. Broadly speaking, everyone is busy trying out all the new stuff. Everyone enjoys it. This stage could perfectly fit the first month, 4 weeks of mostly satisfied players who already know how everything works. They have adapted to the new location, the new mechanics, and everything in general. Here, the season's hype no longer exists, but that's not necessarily bad. They just got used to another season. This 4-week stage, although it sounds like a short time, is actually decisive, because if it remains entertaining, it can prolong the excitement and positivity in the season, thus extending the other stages. In this phase, there usually aren't many complaints, and if there are, they go unnoticed, because here the good things about the season are highlighted. Do not spoil the game for others. A few weeks pass. This stage is very important. It decides everything, whether the game starts to bore or improves exponentially. But personally, I will change the name of this phase to A Month Passes, because it's exactly at a month when everything else starts to unfold. So in this phase, players start doing several things almost out of obligation. They begin doing a new challenges that come out to not miss any rewards. They log in occasionally. They seem somewhat uninterested in leagues for the upcoming weeks, and their only real goal is to level up the Battle Pass. In this stage, we already have a broad context of the season's story, a lore with a beginning and a climax. Only the resolution is missing. Players get used to the changes and start seeing the season's strengths and weaknesses. Everyone becomes an expert or a commentator on some aspects of Fortnite. In these weeks, several cosmetics that will be arriving in the upcoming updates are already leaked. Well, more than cosmetics, everything in general begins to leak for the upcoming weeks. Not just cosmetics, but also game changes, collaborations, and more. Speaking of collaborations, this is the point where they start to be released. Also, in this phase, a small community event might happen, maybe because it coincides with a holiday or something similar. Everyone starts to get bored. This is the stage that changed everything. If a few weeks ago they were super hyped, now everything seems boring to them. This can be due to several factors, and obviously not everyone experiences it. First, everyone has experienced everything already. The only thing they can expect in the coming weeks are a few minimal loot pool changes, and maybe a slight change to certain island locations. There's really not much to look forward to, and personal life outside the game continues, whether it's school, work, or other projects, so Fortnite is no longer a priority as it was in the start of the season. If you miss some new things, it really doesn't matter much, because you can experience them days after they come out when you have some free time. So, there are two types of boredom: the one that happens naturally from seeing everything stay almost the same, and and the one that happens from addiction. What do I mean by this? It's the collective boredom shown by that part of the community that never leaves the game for a second, and clearly in that context you will get bored, and not only that, it will also exhaust you and make you hate it, spreading that feeling among others. In my another Spanish speaking channels, I've seen this many times, so when something like this happens, I always advise taking a break from Fortnite, and they are so addicted to the game that in the end they curse me out for giving a healthy piece of advice, which is literally to disconnect for a couple of days. If you only knew how often they get mad when I tell them to go touch grass, you wouldn't believe it. The more they get mad about it, the more I will push. And I repeat, if the game bores or exhausts you, go outside. The only person who might be offended by that is a content creator because they have to live in the game. But even then, that hypothetical person couldn't be mad at that advice because you can allow yourself a few days without being in the game. These factors influence, plus most Fortnite players probably have their dopamine affected by too much TikTok. That even happens to me. In my case, I watch more YouTube shorts than TikTok, and that quick dopamine has affected me too, which is why I mention it. Things like TikTok and other fast dopamine sources make us less patient with how the game content is distributed. At this phase, the biggest collaboration in the world would happen and many would remain indifferent to it. Specifically in the Myths and Mortals season, people got bored because they expected the new season to deliver more content related to the team. We all agreed it had enormous potential, only to get a few superpowers that were removed to make way for the mythical avatar items. Everyone starts complaining about everything. This is completely true. It has happened in almost every season, especially from chapter 2 onwards. Even if the game has a lot of loot variety, good locations, entertaining stuff, etc., the community will find the smallest point to complain about. Here everyone hates Fortnite, even if they keep playing it. My theory is they complain about everything because in previous weeks they were praising Fortnite on what it does, so to balance it out, now it's time to complain about absolutely everything. It can also be because those issues that are worth complaining about were overlooked at the start of the season due to all the new stuff. So for me, those bad things they complain about have always been there, just overshadowed by the other things they did well or that didn't have much margin of error to complain about. In the Myths and Mortals seasons, there were complaints of all kinds in different areas. One was the design of Aphrodite, which wasn't like the survey drawing. This was mentioned at the start of the season within the community, but they didn't dwell on it until the last weeks of the season. There are also many complaints in this period because it's post-nerf times. There's always something nerfed, which adds another complaints, getting bigger with more mistakes happening in the game. So I'd conclude it's not a single issue causing the community to complain, but rather is a collection of problems accumulating, forming one big issue, which the community attacks intensely. Hype for the new season. This is the final stage, and it counteracts almost all of the bad things that happened in the season. It's the cherry on top. Teasers for the new season start coming out, and since every season changes many things, who wouldn't be hyped? But the most important part of this stage is the mini event that happens. That's the best way to say goodbye for the season, so we remember it forever. That's why I consider Epic Games made a huge mistake in chapter 4 by not giving us a mini event in any season, because it's an important element that helps a lot in improving a season and adds lore to the game more than anything. This hype will always exist. As I said, a new season means an almost completely new Fortnite. We're not talking about adding 2 weapons and 2 skins, we're talking about big changes to the island. New items, a new battle pass with new characters, a new lore or continuation of the previous one. Yes, there will be some Grinches who say they are not hyped for the season just to sound interesting, but they're always the minority. So that's the Fortnite cycle, and it seems true, although I will add a few things like people starting to miss previous seasons around the second stage or massive leaks around the same stage, and in fact this cycle can be redone for for specific niches in Fortnite. Remember, there are completely different things like rocket racing or the lore niche, so this cycle has a different outcome. It will be interesting to make a cycle for each thing in the game, for each niche, because I've tried almost everything Fortnite has to offer. Let's say I'm a multi-fandom within Fortnite. One day I talk about how the season is, another day I'll tell you the lore. So I think I'll make a video for each cycle in each niche. I don't know how long it will take, but I must do it. If you want those videos, let me know, and meanwhile here are these two videos for you. Gracias y adiós.